this material world you can do, because this life exists within you. Respect each breath as divine energy within your body. Now gently become aware of your mind. Whatever thought waves are going on in your mind, you might be feeling restless or calm. Whatever be it, just remain a witness to your own mind. Your entire existence, your gross physical body, your subtle energy body, and your subtle mind is now a scenery in front of you. You are the witness to your own body, your own breath, and your own mind. You are this witness consciousness which exists within this body and mind phenomenon. Within yourself. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You are the witness to the calm and peace within yourself. Take a deep, long breath in. Very gradually as you exhale, whenever you feel complete, very slowly you can open your eyes. So how is our mind now? Little bit calm than before? So at the conclusion, I would like to say that this is a very important point I make everywhere I speak about lifestyle management, that it is very unfortunate when I see a lot of discussion about human lifestyle going on in the media, which only restricts itself to what good food you can eat and how much you should exercise. That is a very limited and a narrow view of lifestyle for a human being. That sort of a lifestyle is okay with your pets. But human mind is capable of doing things beyond this. So Maharishi Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras prescribes few beautiful things to calm our mind. And this is not exercise, but your interaction with society. He says, Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshanam Shukha Dukha Punya Punya Vishanam Bhavanat Chitta Prasadam. That means to calm your mind, how you should interact in society. Maitri, that is friendliness, we should practice towards the blissful, towards the happy person. Karuna, that is sympathy, we should practice towards the sorrowful, towards the suffering person. Mudita, that is respect and love, we should practice towards the divine and the holy person. And upeksha, that is to ignore, we should ignore a wicked person. If we interact like this in society, then chitta prasadam, that means our mind will be happy. It will be content if we react like this. But unfortunately, we don't do like this. When we see someone is happy, we are not that happy. We are not that friendly towards that person. If we see that someone is suffering, then we are not very sympathetic sometimes towards them. Isn't it so? So the stress and depression that originates in our mind, if we go into the deep-rooted subconscious level, we will find that we can uproot them ourselves by correction of our behavior. So yoga is a vast gamut of knowledge. Don't limit it to certain physical movements. It is not only the body, but it is beyond the body. To experience that our existence is much larger than this physical body, we have to start from the level of consciousness where we are. This is the greatness of the Vedic sciences and the philosophy. That we start from the level where we are. So we start from the physical level. Before that also, Maharishi Patanjali in his Ashtanga Yoga Sadhana says that we need to practice yamas. That means ahimsa satya astya brahmacharya parigraha. In our daily practices, in our interaction with the society. Ahimsa, you all know, which is negatively understood as non-violence, but positively understood as for the Sanatana Dharma Shastras as eternal love towards every entity of this existence. That is ahimsa. Satya is the eternal truth. Then aparigraha, which means I don't need anything. A sense of contentment. Astya means I will not be taking anything which is not mine, that is non-stealing. Then brahmacharya, to concentrate our mind in the supreme Brahman. This should be the basis of our interaction with society. See, even society, so many thousands of years now, lacks these things. Then in our interaction with ourselves, he says, Shaucha Santosh Tapushwadha Ishwar Pranidhanani. That means that we have to maintain cleanliness of our surroundings, of our body and mind. Shaucha. Then Santosh, a sense of contentment is very important for a yogi. Santosh. Tapasya, all the people who are from India, they know what is tapasya. Tapasya is knowing that something is difficult, you start doing it. Because you know that this is going to give me something good in the future. It is going to improve me as a human being. So yoga is a tapasya. At the beginning, when you come to the yoga practice, you don't feel like you to stretch your hands. It is so difficult to stand on one leg. What is the teacher saying? Observe your breath. I cannot observe my gross body. How will I observe the breath? But gradually with the practice, in a very short time, you start developing these natural, deep experiences. So that is tapasya. Saucha Santush Tapusya. Then Ishwar Pranidhanani. That means gradually you reach close to the God. And Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is self-inquiry. These are very important parts of yoga. So all these limbs of yoga should develop together, like the limbs of a child develop in the womb of a mother all together. So these limbs of yoga should develop within us together. So it is our duty as the teacher to lead the student into the right path. So I think I have taken a lot of your precious time. I tried to make myself as much clear as I could. Om Namo Narayan to everyone. Thank you for this patient listening and your precious time.
Thank you, Sri Gupta. I just would request everybody and welcome for a question and answer session. If anyone has anything to ask, please go ahead. You can open your, you can make your audios now switched on.
Yes, Gandhi Das speaking from Calcutta. Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, my question is that what is the difference between yoga and
Yoga and? Hello, Mr. Das. What is the difference between yoga and? I couldn't hear the last part of your question.
I think we lost the audio from Mr. Das. Anyone else who would like to ask any questions? I have my aunt Ria from Swansea in Wales. Ria, if you would like to ask anything.
Hi, I just found it was absolutely fantastic. So I just wanted to say thank you, really. It was really, really lovely.
Om Namo Narayan. Welcome. Yes. You have any question? Or you want to make some observation also? You can make some observation. How you felt or something?
Yeah, no, I've never done it before. I've obviously never had any experience at all. But just a little bit from the meditation made me feel very, very calm. Recently, I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, so a lot of it sort of hit a nerve with me. So, yes, it was very beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you, Ria. Yes, Ranodhir, I think Ranodhir has come back. Ranodhir, if you would like to ask, repeat the question, please.
Yes, Mr. Das, I'm waiting for your question. Yes, what is the difference between yoga and?
yoga and pranayam? Difference between yoga and pranayam?
Yoga and pranayam, the difference between
Okay. So what you are meaning by yoga is asana. Okay. So yoga is the entire thing taken together. Asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So there are 8 limbs. All these things taken together is yoga. Yoga is generally understanding. Yoga means joining. Okay. So it comes from the Sanskrit meaning of joining. So what you are joining here is your individual consciousness with the supreme consciousness, the universal consciousness. That is for the Jivatman, the individual consciousness, and the Paramatman and the supreme consciousness. So yoga is all the things taken together. So asana, I think what you want to know is the asana, the difference between asana and pranayama. So asana is the physical posturing which helps us get ready for the pranayama. So when we do the asanas, the body and the mind comes to a balance, which is essential for the practice of pranayama. Okay, pranayama, the energy body gets activated. So with the breath, the life force which is entering the body, that becomes easy. The nadis are clear up when we do asana before pranayama. So it is always essential to do certain asanas as per your body and before the pranayama. Okay. Anything else? Anyone?
Next thing, sir. If correctly understood pranayama and yoga, Kapalbhati is a pranayam or for yoga?
No, Kapalbhati is not a pranayam. Don't term it as yoga. Yoga is everything put together. For our general parlance, we use the term yoga in such a broad way. But yoga is not asana. Yoga asana. Okay. And what you're meaning is yoga asana. Kapalbhati is utilized as a pranayama also, but it falls under the Shatakarma. So it comes after asana and before pranayama. Okay, like that. It is a Shatakarma of the Hatha Yoga. But there are different type of Kapalbhatis. There are many type of Kapalbhatis. So there is a pranayam of Kapalbhati also. What we do generally.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Anything else?
I'd like to also make a small, I would like to also make a small announcement that if you can mute your audio, please. Yeah, Sattva will be organizing food classes for all our guests on Monday, which is 17th of August 2020. And there will be 2 slots for Yogasana. One at around 11 a.m. India time, which is around 9:30 a.m. UAE and 6:30 a.m. UK, and another slot at 7:30 p.m. India time, which is 6 p.m. UAE and 3 p.m. UK. Those who are interested can send a message to the official mobile number, which I have inboxed in the chat box, and you can note down also if you have a pen and paper in hand. It is 0091 9088 02526. We expect to receive your request by Sunday, which is tomorrow, before 8 p.m. India time. And we will create a separate WhatsApp group for our guests who would like to have this free session. And separate Google Meet links will be shared in this group 5 to 6 minutes before start of each free session on Monday. And you can attend either of the session, or you can attend both the sessions if you want. Anyone else would like to ask any other questions? I have a few of my colleagues here. Manoj is there. Michael is there. I can see Raja, Mr. Ravi.
If you don't have any questions, you can, if you want to make any observations, you can make some observations also. Yes, Mr. Mukherjee. Ahimshak Mukherjee, yes.
Sir, I have a question. What should I think? What should go in my mind when I do asanas? Actually, during pranayama, okay, it is the balancing the mind. During dhyana, okay, it is concentrating on something. But during asanas, what should we think?
See, Maharishi Patanjali, whatever I will say is as per the Shastras. I won't put any of my words into it, okay? So that is the rule of traditional knowledge system, that we don't put our name or we don't put our own observations into the ancient systems. So Maharishi Patanjali says, when you do asana, prayatna shaithilya ananta samapatti vyam. That means that you have to do asanas in a very relaxed way. Prayatna shaithilya means in a very relaxed way. Shitil bhave prajakta kotta, vichishta kotta. In a very relaxed way you do this. And your mind has to mix up. Your mind has to become one with the vast, expansive consciousness all around. Ananta samapatti vyam. That you have to make samapatti of your mind in the ananta. That means the vast expansion, the vast space all around. Your mind has to, what is your mind actually? Your mind is nothing but a space only, where thought waves keep coming and going. So when there is no thought wave also, the space remains. So in your deep sleep condition, when you do not have any thought waves, you don't dream also. So you wake up and you can say that there was no thought waves, there were no dreams, I slept very well. Isn't it so? So when all the faculties of the mind have calmed down, has been silenced, then also the sense of space remains. And the sphere of this space, the richness of this space, that is who you are. So in asana, when you practice the asana, gradually practice first to observe your breath, because your breath is this subtle thing which is moving within this dimension of the space. So more you observe the breath, your mind gets accustomed in observing subtle things. So gradually later on, after some time, you will find that whatever be the posture, your mind is so detached from the posture and your mind is actually getting absorbed in the vast, expansive space all around. That is the ideal way of performance of asana.
I have,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. I have Michael also. I think he has got some question. Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
No, just hi, Surjit. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
I just want to thank you. Really enjoyed the session. It's my first time, so very much enjoyed it and loved the meditation. So look forward to doing more of it. So thanks, Emil, for the invite.
Hi, Guruji.
Thank you. Om Namo Narayan. Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
Any questions?
Hi, Guruji. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, sir. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can.
One question on the food. How we have the food habit, like before this yoga and when we are practicing this? Is there any specific food habits or pattern how we can handle this?
Yes. Before you or when you are practicing yoga, you should eat food which is agreeable for digestion, which is easily digested. Now this concept of food, if I speak as per the texts of yoga, they vary a lot. Okay. The one reason which I have felt why this variation of food habits as per the scriptures is because they have been written at different point of time and at different places. So the temperature, the weather conditions, your lifestyle, all these things go on to make your food habit. So a food which is good for yoga is a sattvic diet. That means which is easily digested, more of fruits, more of vegetables, and eating on right time, more of fluids to the body. And before yoga, at least 3 hours prior to yoga, you should eat. And immediately before yoga, you should not eat anything. So if you're eating, you should do yoga after 2 to 3 hours, depending on how much you're eating. And after yoga, you can eat within 15-20 minutes. It is not a problem. And the food which is agreeable for digestion, easily digested, depending on the weather conditions you are, depending on your lifestyle, you should eat that type of food, which is more alkaline and less acidic. This type of food you should attempt upon. Gradually change your food habit. All of a sudden, some people start in the journey of yoga, all of a sudden they want to make a change because food habit you are so accustomed for so many years of your life. You should not change it immediately. You should gradually, very slowly, you should change your food habit. Okay.
Guruji, one more. Is it better to do in the morning or in the evening?
The best times for yoga asanas are the changing of the night to the day, morning to afternoon, and afternoon to evening. So if you are available in these times, you can do this. If you're not available because of the different time zones or because of your professional requirements, you can do any time as you wish. In the morning, the mind is more sattvic. So if you want a more focus on your mind, then you should be doing in the morning. If you want more focus on the body, relax more after the whole day's work, then you can do in the evening. Whenever you find time, do it. It is like such a beautiful practice that whenever you do, it will yield result. Wherever you do, you yield result. It will yield result. For yoga, you need no instruments. Your body is your instrument.
Thank you, Guruji. Great session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thank all of you for wholehearted participation. And I thank Sri Gupta for the enlightening session. And we look forward to listening to you again on Yogasana and meditation in future. Thank you very much. And Om Namo Narayana.
Om Namo Narayana. Thank you.